Hey everybody, and welcome back to Hard Ticket, the show where we go to the movies expecting a double feature, only to find that both movies are playing at the exact same time, so now we have a hard ticket to choose between the two. I'm Jeff Bogus.
And I'm Tristan Moore.
And this is a very special Mel Gibson episode of the show. Tristan, this was your idea.
Oh, was it?
Oh, it definitely wasn't my idea.
Yeah, well, you hadn't seen either of these films?
No, I had
beforehand?
seen Braveheart, and I'd seen clips from The Patriot as it was put on in class, respectively, in 9th grade, 6th grade. Whenever the teacher didn't want to teach, it said, find the bloodless scenes and put The Patriot on.
Oh, no, we watched all the bloody scenes in my 9th grade, yeah.
Wow, no permission slip.
No permission slip. Actually, I think there was a permission slip, yeah.
That made it so much cooler.
Yeah. Really felt like we were pushing the boundaries on that one. So you knew enough to approve the matchup, but
yeah.
I'm the brainchild behind this operation. This is the most obvious matchup in the world, though, right?
Is this the most obvious matchup that we've done so far on this podcast?
Yes.
You think so?
Probably, yeah. It's definitely the longest matchup that we've done, besides the Russos, where we did 4 Russo movies. These are only 2 movies, but they're both like almost 3 hours long.
I still want to say that Braveheart's probably the longest movie that we've covered, right?
I think so, yeah. It's like just shy of 3 hours.
And welcome Roland Emmerich to the echelon of directors we've covered twice on this show. He's number 3.
Yes.
He's third in the club. First, Christopher Nolan. You know what? Makes sense. He's made a big impact on the 21st century. Second, Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that was going to happen eventually. Third, Roland Emmerich.
Not Martin Scorsese.
We
Not
haven't
Akira
covered
Kurosawa.
once.
Nope.
No. If I was paying closer attention, I might have shot this one down, but here we are for our quasi-Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we picked this one thinking that it would be like a Thanksgiving pick, and this has nothing to do with Thanksgiving. This is more like appropriate for a 4th of July.
Well, I will say they're both very American movies. Both of these movies are very American.
Yes.
And both of these movies, essentially, we're kind of talking about the crucifixion of Jesus today, I would say, with Mel Gibson's quasi-deity status in both of these movies.
Yes. I'll go ahead and get started with option number A.
Please.
1995's Braveheart, directed by Mel Gibson, also starring Mel Gibson. It co-stars Catherine McCormick, Sophie Marceau, Patrick McGowan, Angus McFadden.
Yeah.
And Brendan Gleeson, amongst some other people. There's a lot of people in this movie. It's an epic, so it's got a huge cast.
Yeah, it is an epic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's epic.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely has the length of an epic. It's got the scale of an epic. It's historic.
It definitely asserts itself as an epic. That's for damn sure.
It's a proto Lord of the Rings. I think Peter Jackson was influenced.
He was. He went on record saying that. And you watch it and it makes sense.
Yes.
This movie, it's kind of surprising to see how many things it predates. I mean, it is 30 years old this year.
Yeah.
So it's had a lot of modern influence. I mean, it was decorated. I believe it won Best Picture. Mm-hmm. It won Mel Gibson Best Director at the Oscars.
Yeah.
I know it was at least nominated for Best Score, as it should be, because the score is phenomenal.
Yes.
But
very Scottish.
Yes, very Scottish.
Yeah, if you don't know, Braveheart is the story of William Wallace, who's like a Scottish folk hero who rebelled against the English in the 1300s. And from there, the historical accuracies pretty much fall off completely.
Famously.
Yes, infamously.
Yeah, it's up there with like The Imitation Game as a movie that just makes shit up for dramatic effect, or like The Patriot.
Or like option number B, The Patriot. Jeff, would you like to introduce The Patriot?
Yeah, The Patriot is a 2000s movie. It came out at the turn of the millennium right there. So in the year 2000, June 28th, directed by Roland Emmerich. Second appearance on the podcast, as previously mentioned. Not going to get over that. It stars Mel Gibson as, not William Wallace, the other one, Captain Benjamin Martin.
Yes.
Who is a colonist.
Yes.
The early American colonies who were still under British rule, but everybody's starting to get a little bit upset about taxation without representation, very specifically.
Yes, which Benjamin Martin opposes. He says that.
Yeah, he opposes taxation without representation, but he also doesn't want to fight in a revolution because he's a single father.
Yes.
And he's got a bunch of kids to feed.
He has 7 kids.
Yeah, you counted?
Yes, I did actually. Actually, I think it's based off of Mel Gibson's like how many kids he actually had at the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so they wrote that just to make it more relatable for Mel Gibson. Although I don't think he's a widower, but whatever.
No, he's an amalgamation of actual historic figures
Yes.
that we'll talk about a little bit later because I don't have them in front of me right now.
Yeah.
But he can't resist for too long because the British are coming and war has been declared, and they encroach on his land. They kill one of his sons who is defending his oldest son, played by Heath Ledger, and they have to rescue him, and the fight is on. So he is in it to win it. He gathers up his scrappy underdogs. This is the American underdog story.
Yes.
And they fight off those redcoats. And would you call this one an epic as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's sweeping. It's
2
epic.
epics.
2
sub 3 hours, barely. for
barely.
each.
Yeah.
Yeah. That brings us to why we're doing this. It's obvious.
It's super obvious. Yeah.
They're Mel Gibson's star vehicles. I mean, this is about the peak of his stardom, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Isn't this pre the whole controversy with him?
With the voicemails and the anti-Semitic comments and the driving drunk. And
yes.
There was a time when Mel Gibson owned Hollywood and knew it and thought he could do whatever he wanted, basically. And turns out that wasn't true, but he's slid in and out of the spotlight since then. He had sort of a career resurrection in, I think, 2016 with Hacksaw Ridge.
Right.
And a lot of people know him famously for his adaptation of the Gospels, doing The Passion of the Christ.
Yes.
Which is a very controversial movie. But, Mel Gibson, he focuses a lot on these, you could call them conservative themes, the idea of the homestead, the family, Christian values, that kind of thing. And you certainly see them imposed in both of these movies. You get he plays 2 family men. Benjamin Martin has a family that he's trying to protect. William Wallace wants a family and doesn't want to be a revolutionary, but in order to have one, he has to fight for his right. He has got to fight for his right to protect what he wants versus what he has.
Yes.
And they're all about freedom.
All about freedom. Freedom! Yes. No, in both, he's a reluctant war hero. He's a reluctant leader, revolutionary leader. You're talking about these conservative themes, but at the time they're quite liberal. I mean, it's all about for the Patriot. It's obvious, right? You're talking about democracy. You're talking about overthrowing the monarchy. He has a bunch of Black Americans working on his plantation who are
not slaves,
pointedly not slaves. The villain of the Patriot is played by Jason Isaacs, who's this dragoon, this British cavalryman who comes up and he's like, any black people who want to work for the British will be free to work for them. Sorry.
He doesn't quite sound like that. Actually, Jason Isaacs,
He's
in
great.
my opinion, is doing a phenomenal job.
He's the best part of both these movies.
That's probably true.
Yeah, he is cartoonishly evil. But anyways, he offers freedom to the not slaves that work on Mel Gibson's plantation. And they're like, no, we love Mel Gibson. We love working for him. And we're definitely not slaves. So it's very sanitized kind of view of that history. And you look over at Braveheart, and which takes place, the Patriots in the 80s. And Braveheart is the turn of the 14th century. So going into the 1300s. It's 400, almost 400 years prior. And some of the ideas being explored in Braveheart are pretty anachronistic themselves. Like the idea of banding together despite your class differences and a sense of nationalism and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, William Wallace, he's an actual historic domain character. He was a real guy in real life. But there are so many liberties and dramatic escalations that are taken with this story. It does feel, it's American coded.
Yes.
It's a revolution. They're overthrowing the crown, the British crown. The Brits are the enemies in both of these episodes, which, it's appropriate. We just had Letterboxd user scrambled on in our last episode, and now we're covering 2 notoriously Anglophobic movies.
Yeah, jeez.
So probably 2 of the most infamous examples of that because they were just two really big movies as well. I mean, they both made over $200 million at the box office. They're decorated. They're in the conversation.
They're part of like a prestigious, like historical, like a period epic, kind of romantic period epic period.
Oh my God, yeah.
You got stuff like what, The Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, that was around that time, late 90s, I would say.
Legends of the Fall, stuff like that. Stuff that you like nowadays. There's like this big influx of thinking of, what is it, The Court of Thorns and Roses.
ACOTAR.
Yeah, ACOTAR. You have like the fantasy, but like also like sort of period fantasy, like medieval fantasy, and
right.
Also Regency fantasy. You have like the new Wuthering Heights coming out, directed by Emerald Fennell, which is going to be like a sexed up Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
And so you have like this thing that's going on right now where people are really getting into like the historic side of some of this stuff, the really romantic side of it. And I feel like in the 90s, you also had a similar sort of wellspring of people wanting to explore these periods and just sort of ginning them up with lots of violence, some 90s sex scenes.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose Braveheart really is like a fantasy movie. I mean, because it's so embellished, it feels like it's just drawing on a lot of these natural elements that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And pretty much writing a fictional story. Like William Wallace impregnates Princess Isabel.
Yes.
And like instead of, Edward II, who actually was wed to her and actually had natural children with her. I mean, like these dramatic embellishments are necessary for the plot, for the villainization of these characters who were more complex, obviously, in real life. I mean, you look at The Patriot, and there's not a whole lot of evidence towards the war crimes that were committed by the Brits in their, tapering of the American Revolution. So
yeah, these are all about communicating like a mood or like an affect. It's all about like you watch them and you feel a sense of patriotism and you feel a sense of swooning romance at Mel Gibson, who, you're talking about how he loses his wife, his betrothed, and then impregnates the princess of England like not very long afterward. Or you're talking about Benjamin Martin, who's also lost his wife, but he's also macking on his wife's sister, which is a thing.
It's conveniently just there.
Just there, yeah. But yeah, it's romantic. They're wearing big billowy, white shirts, or they're wearing kilts, and they got long flowing locks, and he would not be out of place on the cover of like one of those romance novels. I feel like
no. I mean, the both posters, you get that iconic Patriot poster that like it's just a big Mel Gibson head, just a floating head.
He's the sunset over the continental morning. Yeah.
And apparently, there's another movie called The Patriot that came out 2 years earlier with Steven Seagal, I think.
Oh,
and it's the same poster, but it's his head instead of Mel Gibson. Like every time I looked up information on this movie, like both of them would come up, and I was like, "Which one am I talking about? Are these the same movie?"
Yeah.
But yeah, the romance novel cover, Braveheart especially, he's got the long hair, he's got the deep V. It's so funny, and like he plays that like young-ish revolutionary stud in Braveheart. Only 5 years before he was playing sort of a world-weary father.
Yeah.
In The Patriot.
He's a veteran of the French and Indian War. He's lost his wife. He's like, he's got the wrinkles and everything. He's got 7 kids. Like, the guy's like in his like late 30s, early 40s. But yeah, just 5 years earlier, he was a young stud who had just recently gotten married and lost his betrothed.
Yeah.
Which is, it's fascinating. Mel Gibson, he's got range, right?
Yeah, great range. It is a little distracting when he is 14 years older than his love interest in Braveheart. Bit, yeah. He's got like the lines on his forehead already, but in his defense, I'm already developing those, and I'm 26, so I get it, Mel.
Mel Gibson, he just went to grad school and was so stressed all the time.
Captain Martin, I understood you to be a patriot.
If you mean by patriot, am I angry about taxation without representation? Well, yes, I am. Should the American colonies govern themselves independently? I believe they can, and they should. But if you're asking me, am I willing to go to war with England? Well, then the answer is most definitely no.
I mean, these are capital M movies. They're epics. A lot of the shots look like they're composed, to be moving pictures, fictitious, dramatic representations of history that we may or may not be aware of. I kind of wrote in my notes that they're like, I mean, when you look at the 90s and you look at entertainment, like Friends was coming out and it was like the biggest show ever. It was a smash hit. Friends has that staying power where, like, during the age of streaming, everybody started watching it again and it had a resurgence.
Right.
And Friends is kind of like, you could point at it as like the pinnacle of TV or the embodiment of what television entertainment was at the time. And I feel like Braveheart is a very similar thing where it's the embodiment of what you wanted to see in an R-rated epic movie. You got your sweeping shots of the landscape. You got your, the violence that is a little bit too much, but because you're seeing it on a big screen, you're like, they can never do this on television. Like, I can only get this at the movies. And of course, you got your heartthrobs, your dramatic moments where people are just staring deeply into each other's eyes. There's so many scenes in the first act of Braveheart where it's just Mel Gibson and Kathy McCormack just looking at each other's eyes, sharing a glance and then smiling because they've got that like giddy kind of love thing. And,
they don't have to say it. They can feel it, and also because it's harder to write that than just to have them make eyes at each other.
Right. Yeah. Because she's not really a character.
No.
She's more just a catalyst that
she's like a proto Christopher Nolan wife character.
She really is.
Yeah. Except she gets to at least live for a little bit.
Yeah. But because these are older movies, they're not bro movies. They're dad movies.
Yes, 100% dad movies. Yeah, these movies are sort of like they're like the poor man's Lawrence of Arabia. I feel like they're or like the Old Testament or anything like that. Like any of your old like kind of epics from the 60s with your big VistaVision and everything. These are like the 90s. These are like the dumbed down versions of those. Because I think we need to talk. We're talking about fantasy. We should talk about how dumb. We should talk about how dumb these movies are.
How one note the villains are written as in both.
Sure.
That's essential in dumbing down the plot.
Yeah. You look at the beginning of Braveheart, and we were joking about this before recording, but it opens with the Scottish Highlands and a rousing bagpipe, which I think I read bagpipes weren't even around in like the 1300s or
probably not.
Yeah.
Oh, they definitely weren't wearing like war paint like they are in this movie.
Yeah, I read the war paint was anachronistic in the kilts. But anyways, you open up with like the rousing bagpipes and everything, and then in bright white bold letters it says Scotland, and you're like, oh, I didn't know.
Right.
I thought I was in Tanzania. That's really interesting. So it's these are big dumb movies made for the lowest common denominator. I'm not going to say they're made for dumb people because, lots of people who are not dumb enjoy these movies. I'm one of them.
Yeah, it's the mass audience.
Sure, it's the masses.
Saying, this is what you think of Scotland, so we're going to give it to you. This is what you think of the American Revolution.
Yes.
So we're going to give it to you. No more complicated than that.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be challenging. It's okay. The 90s, right? Like, and we talk about like the socio-political context of which movies are released a lot. And the 90s, they're post-Reagan, they're post-Cold War, they're in like the peak of American culture where it's like, okay, we've conquered the USSR, we've conquered the world. It's the end of history, that famous proclamation. Like, it's all over. Now we're just going to play the hits. And these are the hits. These are the hits right here. It's when we beat the British. We being the royal we, as in like Americans, liberalism, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it. We beat the British, not just once, but twice, and all these other times, right? And like that's what these movies are capturing, just this like sense of here's our victory lap. We're just we're kind of flexing on the world.
Yeah, we're reveling in it. Yeah. I do feel like Braveheart really happened at the exact moment that it needed to get as big as possible.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and The Patriot maybe a little bit past, maybe a little bit on the decline of that trend.
Yeah, it's just before a big turning point and one that we brought up before 9/11. So it comes out just a year before that, before you kind of see a national mood shift. But it's still. I think the problem with The Patriot is it's so it's almost so shameless.
Yeah, I would love to talk about the difference between Emmerich as a director and his voice versus Gibson.
Yeah.
Because they really seem very, very similar especially in the context of these two movies. Emmerich isn't really known for movies like this. I mean, Independence Day is very similar in its patriotism, and its exaggerated dramatic reality, and its celebration of all the good idealism that was prevalent throughout this time, I suppose. And then Gibson, you know, they're both very dramatic directors.
Yeah.
How are their voices differentiated between these two?
Well, I mean, Emmerich, I just feel like he is he wants to be a funnier director.
You think?
I think so. I think he injects more humor in his films, and they're more cartoonish. They have a certain look about them, at least I don't know, like The Day the Earth Stood Still. They have a look about them that is bright and colorful. And, you know, The Patriot looks like a morning, like a dawn, like with fog on the horizon, and you know, it's a very pretty looking movie to look at. And you watch Braveheart, and it's very dour and medieval looking, and I mean, it's shot in Scotland, and you know, it's gray skies all the time.
It's very dirty. Yeah,
it's dirty looking. Yeah,
I kind of got an inverse though.
Really,
because with Braveheart, there are so many moments where I feel like the brutalism of the heroes, like their sort of like common person contrast with the villains, is used in a comedic way. You get the princess who's talking about like all the fun things she heard about William Wallace, and then you cut to him like eating with his hands. That is a comedic cut. You get them like, you know, showing their dicks and showing their asses.
Yes.
And that is comedic. You get the cauterizing of the wound scene. It's comedic because you get all these, you know, they're kind of like portrayed like meatheads.
Yeah, it's not that there's not comedy in Braveheart. It's that it's integrated more organically in the story because there's already, like you're talking about, this underdog effect and everything. With The Patriot, the comedy is not woven in as organically. It's sort of just shoehorned in awkwardly, you know, which creates this sort of tonal whiplash because The Patriot is just as brutal as Braveheart in a lot of scenes. And it can be just as funny as Braveheart in a lot of scenes, but it never mixes them in the same way. I think Mel Gibson has a greater sense of when to land a punchline than Roland Emmerich does.
That seems accurate to me, and it also transcends to the other emotions that I think they both try to tackle. Because anybody who's seen The Patriot knows that there's a scene towards the end of the movie. It's the final battle, and the rebels start to lose. Us American underdogs start to lose. And there are no logistics. There are no numbers that matter. The thing that turns the battle back in their favor seems to just be sheer will.
Yeah.
And Mel Gibson grabs an American flag. I'm going to call him Mel Gibson the whole time because, I mean, he pretty much plays the same character in both.
Yeah.
He grabs an American flag and he rushes the battlefield, and you get this slow motion of him going in the opposite direction of everybody else, and he leads them to victory.
Yeah.
And to me, I feel like that energy he captures in that shot translates throughout the entirety of Braveheart, but it's more sporadic in The Patriot. So if The Patriot is exaggerated, it is dumb, but it's not like that exaggeration doesn't fuel it the whole time. It kind of coasts sometimes. There are moments where I feel like Emmerich wants to, I mean, he's juggling sort of a broader cast. Like there are a lot of characters in both these movies, and they unfold over the course of like 3 hours each. So of course there's going to be a lot of characters in both, but I do feel like Emmerich feels the need to juggle his ensemble a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that like makes it less singular when it's trying to be grandiose.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And Benjamin Martin is, you know, you're talking about him. He's a composite character, but he's also completely made up.
Right.
He's not William Wallace. He's not a folk hero. He's just some guy who led a regiment, a fictional regiment in this film. He's not George Washington, you know, like, so yeah, I think that's why Emmerich feels like, okay, I got to bring in all these other characters, because you can't have Mel Gibson's Benjamin Martin be so important, because then you're like, because we're all so familiar with American history enough to know that there is not a guy who just single-handedly beat the British in the way that William Wallace sort of single-handedly banded together all of Scotland to push back the English. So I think that's probably why there's that disparity between the two films.
Fight and you may die. Run and you'll live. At least a while. And dying in your beds many years from now. would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom?
I think we need to talk about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior.
That sounds like something Mel Gibson would say, actually.
Well, okay. The messianic angle of both of these movies, it's very prevalent in Braveheart. I feel like it's more obvious in Braveheart, especially because William Wallace sacrifices himself, becomes a martyr, dies on a cross. You know, it's a stone cross he's lying down on. He's not actually crucified, but comes about as close as you could possibly make it. And his last word is a resounding freedom.
It echoes throughout
the sound
England.
of freedom echoes. And also, I do believe the guy who wrote Braveheart wrote The Sound of Freedom.
Is that true?
No, it was Heaven is for Real. My bad. But, you know,
close enough.
Not too far off.
Yeah. It doesn't sound quite as good if he yells, "Heaven is for real."
I see it.
Yeah, the light.
No, but he pronounces freedom, and he dies.
Yeah.
He's Jesus.
Oh yeah, and it's so striking too because he directed The Passion of the Christ years later, which was controversial in part because it didn't shy away from the crucifixion. Like it showed how like how bad that would have been, and it doesn't shy away from showing it here in Braveheart. I mean, they probably could have shown him get like castrated. It's definitely implied.
Yeah.
But I mean, it goes on for some time, and what's implied is pretty brutal. So.
Yeah, less prevalent with Benjamin Martin, although, the whole, sacrifice your family, well-being, everything for the good of all of this is like...
For the cause.
Yeah, it's Jesus, So it's still there in The Patriot. It is incredibly incessant in Braveheart. And I wanted to ask you, is there a way to do a symbolically messianic story without just going so over the top like this?
Is there a way to do a messianic story without going as over the top as like Braveheart?
Well, Braveheart is like, sometimes directors will beat you over the head like a Man of Steel type of thing.
Yeah,
Zack Snyder doing that. I'm curious, is there a movie where can you do a Jesus character who's not a Mary Sue character?
Oh, right.
Can you do it? And can you show their sacrifice without making it putting him on a cross and that kind of can you think of a movie that does that in an effective way that doesn't just hammer it over your head?
Well, I mean, that doesn't hammer. I mean, there's definitely ways to do it that are effective, but will it be hammered over your head? Probably, yeah. Because I mean, it's like one of the most, if not like the most famous story, in Western culture, that Jesus Christ, died for our sins and was crucified and that sort of thing. So it's like you're gonna see that parallel if you're familiar with that story. I feel like, and it has worked its way into so much. It's worked its way into Star Wars. It's worked its way into Harry Potter.
Yeah,
it's worked its way into Braveheart, Joan of Arc. We're gonna go see The Passion of Joan of Arc tonight, which is it's a martyrdom story, and she dies a very similar way to Mel Gibson's death in Braveheart. I even wrote down in my notes, this is William Wallace's Joan of Arc moment.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to recognize it. And if that's your definition of beating you over the head with it, then I think that's, yeah.
So you have to.
It has to.
So you do have to.
Yeah, I think you have to. It's just too prevalent in our culture. I mean, you could maybe do it really, really, really subtle. He's on an upside down cross. There you go. And they're like, oh.
So it's Peter instead.
Yeah, I didn't write.
Okay, cool.
What is that? What's it supposed to be? I don't recognize that. Oh, you flip it up. Oh, it's Jesus. I understand now.
Oh, man. The whole thing about, you're fighting for freedom. Freedom is not an exclusively American ideal, but America likes to claim it. We're the land of the free.
Yes.
And so what exactly are the freedoms that both of these characters are fighting for? They are both fighting for freedom, quote unquote. In Braveheart, it seems to be the freedom to fight back. So you always have the freedom, to live your life, to concede, to, be subordinates to, authoritarianism. But the whole freedom speech that Wallace gives while an army is considering turning around when they're outnumbered is basically you have the freedom to do that. You have the freedom to turn around, and that is your freedom. But you also, what are you going to think about later on? What you do with your freedom is just as important. In The Patriot, that conversation is a little bit less overt. I think maybe the idea of freedom, because they are explicitly the United States, or, the colonies fighting to become the United States, like, you just assume everybody knows what freedom is, but you don't have a dialogue about it.
Yeah, if you're making like a movie like The Patriot in the year 2000, when you feel like you're living at the end of history and capitalism is won and racism doesn't exist and that sort of thing, then you kind of you're just showing an origin story, right? And you already know the way it ends.
But there is like
there's sprinkles of like, because there's the one black character who
I was going to say there's a D plot, maybe even an E plot. There's like 3 scenes that make it up, where there is a slave who's been enlisted on behalf of his master.
Yes.
And then he reads, or somebody reads to him a post that says, any slave who serves 1 year in the army will be freed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this guy who's like taunting him about it. He's like, what are you even going to do with freedom? And then the slave, he stays enlisted. He becomes a free man and he continues to fight.
Yes.
And the thing is, it's not like an integral part of it. You can just cut that E plot out, that G plot.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's clear that Roland Emmerich was like at least slightly concerned about like race relations, because he, like I said, he went out of his way to make it clear that Mel Gibson does not own any slaves.
Right. In real life and in the movie. It's important to know that.
And then he goes out of his way to be like, don't worry, one day we're going to get this all figured out, like, because, the founding of the country, it's like a big black spot on our country is that we did not end slavery when we started, even though we were like freedom for all and everything.
Right.
You got to love the way that the character who opposes the black man is like this, like Southern, like sort of written to be like a Southern stereotype.
It's all in, South Carolina.
Sure. But he's like the only one who has like more of like a Southern accent. He's like written like a Bubba character. He's like wearing like a wife beater. And he's like, I don't know about you guys, but somebody.
He's sucking on a crawdad. He's got a bucket full of shells underneath him.
He doesn't like say any, I don't think he says any slurs, which is nice, but like he is just like, he's written as like stereotype, and it's basically just being like, one day the North and the South, they're going to have to do this thing, but we're going to get over it. It's going to be fine. And here in the year of our Lord 2000, hey, we solved it.
It's all water under the bridge.
It's all water under the bridge. It's all part of the mythology that Roland Emmerich fully believes in and is crafting in this movie. And it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I don't feel like we've hammered home enough how dumb these movies are.
Yeah. And it also like, that person who taunts him, the slave, I don't know what the character's name is, but he saves his life.
Yes.
Which shows the racist guy that, hey, maybe I am in the wrong. Maybe this is a person. And then he has that arc where he's the one who comments. All of these scenes are just the two of them talking. Yes. They're like, there's two like goons just in the background.
They're like what, Statler and Waldorf and the Muppet, they're just like sort of
they're
in the
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Yeah,
you could just write them out. Like I said, cut them out and nothing changes except the plot's not there anymore. But he's like he's the one who points out like, it's been more than 12 months. I'm honored to fight next to you.
Yes,
honored.
Yeah, you're
so racism is solved. Yes, you're right. They are really stupid because they all relegate these issues to very simple, one note, non-complex things.
The Patriot is the type of movie, your introduction to Mel Gibson, right? He is manufacturing a rocking chair. And there's a lot of tension in this scene as he puts his final touches on the rocking chair and goes to sit in it. And he's being very slow. There are people watching, and he sits in it. He's rocking for a second, and then it collapses. And he gets up and he throws his rocking chair into a pile of rocking chairs that have also collapsed. Like he just keeps his pile of rocking chairs next to him.
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of movie. It's just like a cartoon. Which you have a cartoon. It's a cartoon movie that is also going to portray war crimes.
The French guy who's fighting alongside Benjamin Martin, he's like, they make a joke about him committing atrocities of war. He's like, I'm here to kill some British soldiers, maybe a couple of wounded ones when you're not looking, and they just laugh it off. Whereas like, when the British, who also are committing copious war crimes, like they burn a church to the ground, Tavington specifically, he crosses the line in his introduction. He shoots a kid.
Yes.
That's our introduction to this character. Like when they do it, it's awful. But when the Americans joke about it, it's like, Oh, you.
I was reading about like contemporary response to the Patriot at the time, and like a big thing that got mentioned was you were talking about like the Anglophobia and the way that Tavington specifically is written in the Patriot. He recalls like an SS officer, like a Nazi.
Yes.
He is like super over the top. He's executing kids. He's executing prisoners of war, and then he burns a church full of civilians down, which never happened in the Revolutionary War. A crime like that, you know, I'm not saying it never happened until World War II, but it very pointedly happened in World War II. The Nazis did this in France.
Right. And that was part of the reason why they are such black and white villains of history.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's and Roland Emmerich is a German director, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I was reading like a critique. It's like maybe subconsciously as a way to sort of dilute the unique atrocities of the Nazis. It's almost like the writer's way of just being like, oh, war's hell, you know, like this stuff happened in the past. And but really what I think what it is, I don't think it's necessarily trying to whitewash.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, not whitewash, but like basically just be like, I think what it is just, it's a way of framing a historical conflict through the lens of something that happened in recent history that people understand. Like World War II is still very much on people's minds.
Yeah.
It's to this day, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And even 25 years ago when The Patriot came out, and people, they know what evil is supposed to look like because of World War II.
Yeah.
And because of the movies that were made, the documentaries that were made. So you transplant that sense of right and wrong into the 1700s, and you get a British dragoon who's acting like an SS officer.
And you also get that there's like a Dark Knight moment in this movie where like essentially Tavington creates his nemesis in killing his son.
Yes.
And taking his other son to execute. Benjamin Martin fights back. He becomes the Ghost. He becomes this folk legend.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's talking about, oh my God, nobody even saw him. Like he was so quick. He was like a ghost. And Tavington is like commanding officer, Tom Wilkinson, Lord Charles Cornwallis.
Yes.
He's like, he specifically says, you created this ghost
Yes.
because of your barbarity. And I actually legitimately enjoy that. You know,
Oh, yeah.
like, yes, he's a British soldier. Putting it in this context is questionable. But, you know, when you look at these villains and heroes, this dichotomy between the two of them, one creating the other one, it's actually done in a really effective way.
Yeah,
I would
no.
say.
The dynamic between Benjamin Martin and Colonel Tavington is strong. It is cartoonish. It's two-dimensional.
Right.
But it's strong. You understand it. It turns it into a simple revenge story amidst the whole fight for freedom and everything.
Yeah, and when you do awful things, like somebody will rise to your level and inflict justice upon you.
Yes. The messaging gets a little confusing when Tavington kills Martin's son, played by Heath Ledger. He just got
His
married to
oldest
his
son. Yeah, that's his second son that he killed.
Yes, his eldest. Yeah, he does kill two of his sons in this movie. He kills his eldest son because, he kills his eldest son's wife.
Right.
Who is in like two scenes. They get married, and then she's in the church. She gets burned down and everything. And so Heath Ledger goes after Jason Isaacs, and so it's like a revenge thing, right? Like it's another revenge story within a revenge story. And then he dies while he's getting revenge on Tavington, implying that revenge is this thing that if you are too impatient, if you rush to do it too much, that it will backfire, right?
Right.
But then the film isn't like anti-revenge because Benjamin Martin does eventually kill Tavington. He even has a moment where he's like, by the end of this war, I'm going to kill you.
Why wait?
Yeah. And I think maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what the difference between this film, like it's not saying that revenge itself is bad or good. It's saying that you need to wait for the right moment, which is another kind of through line between both films, which is that it's brains over brawn. It's guerrilla warfare. It's the underdog.
That's specifically like in Braveheart. He's like, you got to learn how to use this, points at temple, before you use this, fisticuffs.
Exactly. It's the David versus Goliath of it all.
Yeah.
And the problem with Heath Ledger's character is that he just rushed to go fight Tavington without a plan, right?
Right.
He was just too upset about
It was the wrong nemesis.
Yeah.
Tavington already had a nemesis.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Heath Ledger would get a more appropriate one in The Dark Knight.
They keep talking
8 years later.
They keep talking about how much Heath Ledger's character takes after his father, and Mel Gibson's like, yeah, he takes more after his mom. And we find out that he actually does, because like his mom, he dies.
He just looks at his son and he's like, he's already dead.
He takes just after his
He's
mom.
marked for death.
Yeah.
Fine speech. Now what do we do?
Just be yourselves.
Where are you going?
I'm going to pick a fight.
All right, let's get to the questions.
Question time. All right, question number 1. What other patriotic cause would you like to see Mel Gibson star in as a reluctant but decisive leader? And this ties into one of your questions,
Yes,
Jeff.
yes. This is going to be a double question.
Yes.
Because the first question I wrote was, what's the sensible third movie that needs to be made to complete the Mel Gibson Uprising trilogy?
Okay.
And I did have an answer.
I have an answer too. I'm fascinated since I asked first. I want to hear your answer first.
Okay, well, my initial answer,
Okay.
I thought to myself, my God, is it the mine wars in West Virginia?
Oh, okay.
The uprising of the coal miners when they went on strike in the 1920s.
Okay.
And turns out that is not the correct answer, because the coal miners lost.
Yeah.
So you can't do that unless you have Mel Gibson playing a sympathetic Baldwin Phelps agent somehow.
Yeah, no way.
And but that would do it. I mean, like, if he was going to cover it, he would have to be on the winning side. So
That's true, yeah.
portray them all as dumb hicks who are trying to somehow, like, mineral rights were never theirs.
You completely lose your David versus Goliath angle, though.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And you can't say he's fighting for freedom at the end. He says, free enterprise! Capitalism!
Yeah, well, he'll find a way. I mean, you just completely rewrite history. That's what happens in kind of both of these movies.
That's
so
true.
We'll find a way.
That's fascinating. You know what I want to go with?
Go for it.
So I was thinking, okay, in both these films, he's up against the British, right? They're
Yeah.
British colonies, basically. And the first British colony that came to mind after America was India. So I'm just, what are you looking
What's
at me?
gonna happen?
I'm just imagining Mel Gibson. I'm not saying he's doing like.
Well, you know, to his credit, he does not play Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. Like, he will cast somebody else,
True.
not somebody of the right nationality.
Yeah, I
But-
don't. Yeah, I'm not advocating for Mel Gibson in Indian face, like pretending to be Gandhi or whatever. But or maybe I am. Maybe it'd be kind of really funny to see Mel Gibson contort himself into a role like that.
Into Gandhi.
Yeah, can you imagine Mel Gibson as Gandhi? He's like so tall too. Like
I can't imagine Mel Gibson as anything but himself, because he just looks the same in every role. Even with the war paint on, he just looks like Mel Gibson.
he would definitely fall. Like if he did star in this movie, and maybe he wasn't like obviously he wasn't like Gandhi. Maybe he's just like some white guy who's like a British guy who like turned and he's fighting for like the Indian cause.
Right.
Maybe he would totally be like a white savior.
And they
Like
call him Little Gandhi.
even though
Even
he's
though he's
bigger,
hulking.
he's a whole just like 2 heads taller than Gandhi. That's awesome. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's okay.
That's good. Yeah,
That's
look at
good.
that. That's great.
All right. My second question. I want you to transplant both Gibson characters and their central entourage of fighters and weapons into the other's movie. What happens?
You lose that angle in Braveheart where it's like the uncivilized heathens fighting back against civil society. So
Yeah.
you lose that.
They're technologically advanced.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you introduce guns in either of these, if you introduce guns in Braveheart, like, that side wins. You just have that.
Yeah.
So,
You think they penetrate like the armor and everything, the chainmail?
yeah, I
Oh.
think they would.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's not like Kevlar. you
Oh, I don't know.
know.
I know nothing about musket balls and all that stuff. But I think you're right. I think it definitely changes the dynamics, and it, if nothing else, it just scares them. They're like, "What the hell are those? What are boomsticks?" Like
Yeah.
running away from that.
Yeah.
And if you put the Braveheart guy, you put William Wallace and like Brendan Gleeson and like all the guys in blue face paint, you put them in the Patriot, and they're running up on Colonel Tavington. What's happening?
I mean, they're like cutting his Achilles and stuff like that. So I feel like what you would do with the guys in Braveheart is that since they're doing that guerrilla style warfare, they kind of become stand-ins for what the Native Americans were actually doing to the colonists when they were, first arriving in the United States and taking the land and everything. And that just feels like I don't want to touch that. So let's not do that movie. Let's just do the Braveheart one with guns. Braveheart with guns.
Braveheart with guns.
That sounds like somebody walking into like a pitch room and they're like, all right, guys, Braveheart, but everybody's got a pistol. Everybody's packing heat.
It's literally just The Patriot. It's literally, that's why we're doing this matchup.
It pretty much is.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, but only one side has them, and they just decimate the other.
Okay.
Yeah, no underdogs anymore.
Braveheart, but only one side has guns. But they're just muskets.
It's just a slaughter.
One guy has a machine gun. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Braveheart, but Mel Gibson is a chimp with a machine gun.
All right, my second question. Does anything actually change if you swap Mel Gibson and Roland Emmerich as directors in each other's movies?
I think so. And I think I made my point about this earlier. I do think like if Braveheart was directed by Roland Emmerich, there would be weird tonal shifts where the comedy did not fit in. There'd be like a fart joke, like someone would fart really loud.
That would be a character who does that several times in the movie.
It would be after the king throws his prince son's lover out the window and he would turn to look at his son and the son would fart. And
okay.
Yeah, so you would have a scene like that probably.
Yeah, you definitely. Well, the thing about Braveheart is like every character pretty much revolves around William Wallace. And if Roland Emmerich directs, they don't anymore. They have their separate arcs and everything.
That's right. Yeah. William Wallace would probably be like, because you do have a George Washington cameo in The Patriot.
Right.
You just see his like, it's like a side profile of George Washington. It's framed to look like the Washington crosses the Delaware portrait. So maybe you have William Wallace in the background of Braveheart. You just see like a side profile, but then there's another composite, like a Scottish guy who's just like, he's basically William Wallace, but he's not.
Yeah, you actually have that character who's like, and this is what a kilt is, everybody. And this is what war paint is. So he's like introducing all of those like just cultural elements that exist in international heads.
Yes.
And it's like,
this is my haggis.
It's a sheep's stomach.
Did you catch Mel Gibson's uncle comes in and he's like, I'm your Uncle Argyle. Is that a name? Is that an actual name in like Scotland? To me, it was like saying I'm your Uncle Bagpipes. Like it was like the equivalent.
I'm your uncle.
This is my dog Nessie. Like it's like what? Like, that's a stereotype, right?
My son Freedom. Yeah. The Patriot. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about when Emmerich or when Gibson does The Patriot?
When Gibson does the
apparently
Patriot.
Gibson had opinions about like maintaining that Benjamin Martin was a slave owner and stuff like that
which is good. I respect him for that. Although maybe he wanted that for different reasons than I would want that.
Well, you think he wants to own slaves? Is that what you're saying?
He was like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, what's the issue?" For me, it's like I feel like it just sanitizes the history.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see The Patriot, but like instead of Benjamin Martin, who's a fake, who does not exist, it would star like Patrick Henry or something. Like maybe one of the lesser known. Like
John Hancock.
He
just goes around signing things all the time.
The end of the movie.
You can't sign that. That's our Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. He says, I'm going to put my me on that.
Hold on. I'm coining a thing right now.
Yeah. I could see like starring like an actual famous person, and it's a little bit more serious because of that.
Right. Okay.
All right. My third question. Movies like Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies have turned the period epic / romance genre into a pulpy horror story. I want you to pitch a similar twist for one of these films.
All right. Braveheart.
Okay.
With guns.
No, you got to make it a horror film.
I got to make it a horror
It's
film?
because you got zombies in Pride and Prejudice. You got vampires in Abraham Lincoln. I'm saying put a little horror twist on that thing.
Yeah. Let's do some American Werewolf in Scotland type of thing.
Okay.
So William Wallace actually is a werewolf, and he transforms at night, and I guess it's pretty much the same movie, but he's a werewolf, right? I mean, like
At the end, instead of saying freedom, he howls at the moon.
oh my god, it's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it actually works.
Okay, I like that. I'm like imagining like something like The Patriot, but like instead of just it being the normal Revolutionary War, there's like aliens that show up.
Oh, so it's like Independence Day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's sort of like cowboys and aliens, but
Right.
it's colonials and aliens.
Colonials and aliens.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're just like shooting at aliens with muskets.
With muskets. Do they win?
No, 'cause they have muskets, so they lose.
Well, I don't know what the aliens have. Maybe
Like-
they're peaceful.
They have machine guns.
The aliens come, but they're like chimpanzees with machine guns.
Yeah.
Okay, my third question. So, put Mel Gibson in the starring role of a movie from the past 10 years that would have actually enhanced it.
So something from 2015 on
Mm-hmm.
that would be better if Mel Gibson was the starring
Was the
role.
star.
Unironically would be better.
Yeah, picture the poster for it with his face taking up
Rising over
90%,
the
yeah.
horizon.
Do you want me to give you my answer?
What is your answer?
To me, this feels like the most obvious answer.
Okay.
I actually reverse engineered the question from like, what if Mel Gibson was in this movie?
Okay.
The Greatest Showman with Mel Gibson as P.T. Barnum, and everything is exactly the same because P.T. Barnum in real life
Was a piece of shit.
was a horrible guy.
Oh.
So you put Mel Gibson in that role and you just completely sanitize it, and it's almost like a meta joke. It's like, yeah, we know that this movie is like completely false. Here's Mel Gibson, a shitty guy in real life, who we are portraying
Oh my god.
as this hero who was also a shitty guy in real life.
This totally tees up a world of opportunity to just replace villainous characters of any movie in the past 10 years with Mel Gibson, and you're instantly like, that makes sense because Mel Gibson's. I'm like, we did our Barbarian episode, and Richard Brake is like, he's like kidnapping women and like
Yeah.
forcing them to give birth and stuff. I'm just imagining you replace it with Mel Gibson. You're like, oh, that tracks. He's a method actor.
Imagine the Barbarian poster with like the stairwell and everything, but Mel Gibson's face is like just taking up the background of it.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like Mel Gibson from like the early 2000s though.
Yeah.
You put yourself in that headspace, like the controversy and everything, and you're like, okay.
Is that your answer, Barbarian?
It is an answer, yes.
But that's not the starring role, you know?
No, that's true. Yeah, like I'm imagining like a villainous role where Mel Gibson would be the best.
Joker.
Yeah, let's go with Joker. But actually, just the second Joker, Folia do. He's just
They recast Joaquin Phoenix as Mel Gibson.
He's just Mel Gibson now. Or you could just make him as Harley Quinn. I guess that could work.
Yeah, that's crazy because his son in The Patriot would actually play the Joker in The Dark Knight, and then he would go on to play the Joker years later. That's perfect.
And in real life, he is the Joker, as in he's a joke.
Okay, my fourth question. In a biopic about Mel Gibson's life, who would you cast to play the man himself?
Who would I cast to play Mel Gibson? And I can't pick Mel Gibson.
Right.
Ansel Elgort.
I don't see it. Okay, so I get like, if I close my eyes and I hear Mel Gibson talk and I hear George Clooney talk, their voices sound very
You're gonna
similar.
have George Clooney, who's what, older than Mel Gibson, play Mel Gibson in a
He plays him
biopic?
later in life.
Oh,
right?
okay. So multiple. Okay, so Finn Wolfhard as young Mel Gibson.
That's just the go-to answer all the time. Like, you want a young version
Yeah,
of this guy,
it's
it's
Finn
Finn
Wolfhard.
Wolfhard. How about the guy from The Holdovers? I forget his name.
Paul Giamatti.
No, the young guy. Paul Giamatti is Mel Gibson. You're looking to this side.
He's Mel Gibson, like on his deathbed. Yeah. Get the guy who played Jesus Christ in Passion of the Christ, Jim Caviezel or whatever.
Oh, and to play older Mel Gibson?
Yeah, wouldn't that be like sort of, I don't know, poignant?
I guess so. Yeah.
Who are some other famous anti-Semites who could play Mel Gibson?
Let's see. I'm just going to Google famous anti-Semites. Let's see. Henry Ford, Voltaire,
Walt Disney,
Roald Dahl. Yeah, I don't.
Voltaire. Holy shit!
Yeah, man, we're all learning something new here. Next question.
Would you rather see a prequel to Braveheart about Wallace's dad's doomed fight against the English, or a sequel to The Patriot about an elderly Ben Martin's rematch against the British in the War of 1812?
What's the first scenario? William Wallace's doomed fight against the British?
It's William Wallace's dad's doomed fight, because we know that he eventually dies. So it'd be like a prequel to Braveheart, and you just sort of see him do his thing. Or you can see a sequel where Mel Gibson is now elderly. He's an elderly Benjamin
Played by Paul
Martin.
Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti, and he's fighting the British in the War of 1812.
I think I would rather see that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the continuation. 'Cause the War of 1812 doesn't get covered at all.
I know, right?
Has there ever been a movie covering that?
I'm sure there's somebody right now who's like banging their head on a wall, and they're like, how do they not know about this War of 1812 movie?
They'll never know. Yeah.
But no, I can't think of anything. But like, you have to imagine like burning down the White House and all that stuff. It's awesome. It'd be sweet. Mel Gibson's in there. He's like crying because he burned down his house.
Here's your thing. You revived Tavington. So this is your previous question.
Oh, he comes back.
He comes back as a zombie. So you have the Patriot, and they're shooting dead redcoats.
Oh.
And Tavington, the zombie, burns down the White House because he burned the church.
Yeah,
so he tries to put everybody in the White House. He's like, get in the White House.
Yeah.
Burn it to the ground.
Fire the White House. Just throw torches onto it. Oh my God. That's awesome.
Yeah, so imagine if your 1812 movie turns into like a zombie movie and it's totally tarnished.
You're like a cinephile, like history buff, and you're so excited finally that they made a War of 1812 movie.
You're looking at the cast and it's like, oh, they brought Jason Isaac? What's going on?
Maybe it's his son.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would totally watch that, by the way.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, my last question. You have to spend a week hanging out with one of these two actors, Mel Gibson or Tom Cruise. Who do you choose?
I'm going to pick Tom Cruise.
Really?
Is that surprising? Is that controversial?
Well, a lot of people who work with Tom Cruise, they say he's very nice to your face, like on the surface. He also seems really intense.
Yeah, there's like nothing beneath the surface, maybe. Like he's sort of like a robot.
You could call it passion, or you could call it like psychosis. I don't exactly know. I mean, like
Scientology, maybe. Yeah, I feel like I could handle Tom Cruise better, though, than Mel Gibson, who's like a raving anti-Semite.
Yeah.
And also he's taller than me. And me and Tom Cruise were like within a couple inches of each other. So if things got hairy, I could at least take him.
I feel like there's less of a negative connotation if people see you out in public with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, they'll just think we're dating or something. Like, they see me with Mel Gibson, they think I'm like a co-conspirator.
He's like running. You guys are going on runs together. He's always running around. I kind of feel like, wouldn't it be, if you give into the demons a little bit, fun to be the devil on Mel Gibson's shoulder when you hang out with him?
I would rather be the angel on his shoulder.
Really? So we both hang out with him, and I'm like, call her.
Oh, Mel, don't do it. Don't leave a voicemail.
Give her a call. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Mel Gibson is he's a little bit out of the public eye these days. I think that's probably the best place for him to be. I'm a little bit more curious. I feel like I'm less likely to die. Like Tom Cruise will be doing some. You feel like he just does stunts in real life all the time?
Really?
I don't know. Do you feel like he does?
Not really, no.
He's like, you just be getting injections to make himself look younger the whole time you guys are hanging out, going to plastic surgeons.
You said we're just hanging out for a day, right?
A week.
Oh, a whole week?
A whole week.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it's going to get busy.
Yeah. You got to go to all those appointments.
How, like, close are we during this? Like, are we sleeping in separate rooms? Beds?
I don't know. Just depends on your preference.
I guess it depends on how close I get with them.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's your goal to end up in the same bed with him, then
yeah. So you could rephrase the question like, who are you more likely to be able to seduce to sleep with? Mel Gibson or Tom Cruise?
Mel Gibson.
No, it's definitely Tom Cruise.
We'll see.
You think it's
on
Mel
his shoulder.
Gibson? Sleep with me, Mel. No, Mel, don't do it. Tom Cruise, why is he even in this conversation?
Well, we've covered a good amount of Tom Cruise movies.
That's true. Yeah.
2.
All right, my last question. I want you to pitch a shoehorned-in contemporary celeb cameo from a founding father in The Patriot. because you get your George Washington thing, but I want you to do one that's like a Marvel movie cameo, like a Stan Lee cameo.
Like the end of Oppenheimer where somebody's like
Albert-
hot shot calling himself John F. Kennedy. Calling himself by his name.
Peter Albert Einstein wants to talk to you. Something like that. Yeah.
You want one of those where it's like set up like a Marvel cameo in The Patriot?
Yeah.
It's got to be John Hancock.
John
right?
Hancock. Yeah.
Like they end the war and they're signing like they're actually signing the Declaration of Independence. And somebody signs it really big and Mel Gibson's like, that's a big one. And he's like, it's my John Hancock.
You do like this time lapse of all these old white guys signing it, and finally Benjamin Martin comes up to sign it. He's the last one. He's like, who did the big one?
There's no room.
That's a big signature.
You can legitimately do one that's every single founding father. You can have a scene where they're reading the signatures.
Okay.
And they're all saying, I. Who declares this independence? Benjamin Franklin? I. John Hancock?
I. They all sound the exact same. They all sound like Tom Noonan and Anomalisa. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
That is, oh my God.
I'm like imagining a scene where they like go out to like face the British like one day, and they go out to a field and it's like at night and there's like a storm brewing. Lightning like starting. They walk out to the field and they see an old man with a kite, and he's got like a key on it. And they're like, "What are you doing out here? And what's your name?" And he's like, "I'm Benjamin Franklin and I'm discovering lightning."
No, they just ask him what he's doing, and he's like, well, to be frank.
He takes off his like coonskin hat.
No. Imagine the eye scene again. But every time somebody stands up, they're actually played by like a Marvel alum.
Oh
like
God!
Ben Franklin stands up, but it's Chris Evans.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Chris Hemsworth is Thomas Jefferson, of course.
Oh. It'd be perfect. It would
I like this declaration. Another.
Who's Tom Holland?
Tom Holland, George Washington, of course. Like, he's just the oldest one. He's got wooden teeth.
He's stuttering.
Mr. Stark.
I declare independence.
He's like Morty, basically, from Rick and Morty.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. We've reached the end of Hard Ticket, episode 23.
Yeah, I think
episode
so.
23.
Maybe 22. I had to do a little rearranging last minute, but
yes.
You guys didn't even notice, did you? Except for you, Scrambled.
What are we going to call this one? Because I proposed the Braveheart, and I think you shot
the Braveheart.
The Braveheart
Sounds a little bit better spoken than spelled.
Okay.
I suggested the Brave Patriot Heart.
Oh yeah,
which is
fair.
A little more generic, but
yeah.
I guess you'll know. You'll have known by now.
At either rate, we've reached the end of the episode. An episode about Braveheart and the Patriot. And Jeff, I'm dying to know what your hard ticket's going to go to, because this is another episode where I have no idea.
No idea.
Yeah, I really don't.
Okay. My hard ticket is going to Braveheart.
Whoa.
Braveheart is, like I said, I had seen it before this episode. My dad, I'd watched it with my family when I was, I guess, maybe in high school, which is appropriate because it's weird. It's a dad movie. I don't really equate my dad's taste in movies to dad movies a lot of the time. I guess this is one where they coincided. My dad likes a lot of comedies.
Your dad has a PhD. He's a little different.
Yeah. My dad's not like the other dads.
Yeah.
But Braveheart somehow did still coalesce into our life. And I don't know, it is like full cheese. It makes my stomach hurt because there's so much cheese. But there's something about it that's a lot more cohesive than The Patriot. I'm not going to lie, like I had trouble paying attention in the second half of The Patriot. I was just like really not into it whatsoever.
There's a major second act slump in The Patriot.
I thought it just rode it to the end, to be completely fair. I mean, like,
that's fair, yeah.
there are moments, but I feel like if the whole movie had the same energy as Mel Gibson charging with that American flag, it would be on the same level as Braveheart, but it's not. I don't think The Patriot's on the same level as Braveheart. This is the second time I am not choosing a Roland Emmerich movie on this podcast.
That's fair. I mean, Roland Emmerich is, he's contentious. And you know, I saw Braveheart when I was in high school. I don't really remember much of it. I remember thinking that it was long. And I think I enjoyed some of the battle sequences, especially the one, I can't even remember the name of it now, Sterling Bridge or something like that.
Yeah.
It faded from my memory pretty fast. I watched The Patriot when I was in 9th grade, my history class. This was like my history teacher's excuse for a history lesson.
Right.
And fell in love with it.
The Patriot?
Yes.
Say that again.
I fell in love with The Patriot when I was a 15-year-old boy, because it is a movie for 15-year-old boys.
You had it rated 2 stars on Letterboxd before this episode.
Yeah, that's true. That was from 6 years ago when I was not 15 anymore. But no, at the time I really enjoyed it. Actually, you know, we were in band together, and I went to a second in Charles and I think Harrisburg, PA, and picked up a copy of The Patriot and tried to get our band instructor to play it on our bus and everything. And he was like, "Oh, this is a really good movie, but it's a little grisly for some people." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, it's great.
Well, it actually happened. So, like, you know, you just got to suck it up.
Yeah. Snowflakes, you know. So I'm going to pick The Patriot.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not because I think it's better. It really isn't because I think it's better. It's because I think I enjoy watching it more genuinely. I enjoy engaging with its pure dumbassery, because it is dumb, and Braveheart is dumb, but The Patriot is dumber, and it's better because it's dumber.
I don't know if I would call it dumber. I do think that, okay, the portrayal of the British in The Patriot is a little bit more nuanced than it is in Braveheart, because there's like this one guy at the beginning. You have people who look at Tavington and they're like, "You're a monster,
right,
and you're on our side," and I don't know how I feel about that. Versus holistically, the comical portrayal of just this overtly evil English in Braveheart. To me, I think the more singular tone of Braveheart, it actually does stick with me a good amount. Specific scenes, specific moments, lines of dialogue, like, I don't know, it felt like something unique. Whereas The Patriot, I feel like, is much more of a slog and much more like movies that I have seen. Braveheart has a different aesthetic, you know. Is it correct? No. But the aesthetic historically of both of these movies is just totally conflated regardless. So, like, I give Braveheart like a little bit of a pass, despite the fact that both of these movies are just ridiculous.
Well, dude, I already heard which one your heart ticket's going to go to.
Sorry, I wanted to get the last word.
No, it's and I feel like I have to kind of get ahead of the curve here, because we're going to have an episode that comes out next week where I picked a controversial choice for my heart ticket, and I want to reiterate the premise here is which one you would rather go see in a movie theater, not necessarily which one you think is better, because I don't necessarily think that The Patriot is better than Braveheart, but I do think that there are certain things that I find more enjoyable in The Patriot. There's definitely more memorable scenes in The Patriot for me.
Okay.
I find the first act of the film to be pretty good. It's action-packed, it's dumb, but it sets things up clearly. I think once it gets into more of like the broader Revolutionary War stuff, it begins to lose itself a little bit more. It's not as singular like you're talking about.
Yeah.
It definitely has tons of cliches in it, but I find myself liking it because of the cliches in some instances. I find them amusing.
Yeah.
I think it's funny for me to imagine Roland Emmerich, this like German director who's like buying into these American cliches, like making fun of the French and stuff like that. Like I enjoy that. I'm not saying it's good. It's not. It's sort of a guilty pleasure for me.
Yeah.
And it's one that I haven't revisited in 6 years, but I was actually looking forward to watching it more than Braveheart, and I ended up enjoying it just a little bit more, even though I do think there's more of a slog in the second act of The Patriot. I think Braveheart's more consistent throughout.
Yes.
But there's just not as much that sticks out to me in Braveheart. I found it sort of samey, sort of generic, whereas The Patriot rises above being generic by being a special sort of mediocre that is memorable. It really, I mean, you're really talking about like a war between two sort of mediocre films.
Yeah, I mean, you say you enjoy the cliches more. At the end of the day, they're both completely comprised of cliches. And I guess it kind of does come down to a matter of preference.
Oh, yeah. As it always does on Hard Ticket, our show.
Yeah, and I prefer Braveheart. You prefer The Patriot. I am a little surprised because I remember you texted me beforehand saying like that The Patriot feels longer than Braveheart.
Even though it's shorter.
Yeah, by like 10 or so minutes. Not by a significant amount, but I did feel, like I said, I was squirming. The Patriot, I just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I definitely like dipped out a little bit like in that second act and sort of had to walk around the house for a little bit, do some chores and come back to it. Like I said, I'm not saying The Patriot's a better film. I'll probably rate it lower on Letterboxd, but I would rather watch it 9 times out of 10. I would rather watch The Patriot because it is sort of like turn your brain off and just... I love Jason Isaacs. What can I say? I think he makes the difference for me.
That's a good reason.
There's no memorable villain in Braveheart like Jason Isaacs. There's just no one who comes close.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. If you liked what you heard, you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at Hard Ticket Pod, all lowercase, all one word. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at Jeff Blogus, again, all lowercase, all one word. Tristan.
You can follow me on Letterboxd at Tristan M. and you can follow me on Instagram at Tristan_less. You can also email the podcast at hardticketpodcast@gmail.com. Send us recommendations, hate mail, whatever. And you can also, we have a Discord, and I think you probably need a link to get onto that Discord. So send me an email, and I'll send you a link, and you can join. We have a growing community, actually, of folks who have been on the show. So
yes, it's very exciting. Thank you, Jared Tadlock, for designing our brand elements, keeping our podcast looking fresh. Thank you, Aaron Griffin, for mixing, mastering our theme song, sung by yours truly in a truly awful falsetto. And next week, we are going to be having a guest on, my longtime friend Rob Simmons, and doing something a little bit different, our first video episode, actually. So keep an eye out for that. Open your ears as well as your eyes for this next episode. We're excited to be bringing it to you. And in that conversation, we will be talking about Nomadland and Into the Wild. So you don't want to miss that one, folks. But until then, we will see you all at the movies.